Well, I have blue shirts and blue ties for days, and it coincides with this kind of weather that we have. This is going to continue. Good news, hopefully, good news for you. This is going to continue into at least the first 10 days of June. So we're going with not as warm as we've been recently, and certainly rainier than we've been. And of course, this pattern that we're getting into is reminiscent of the winter that we just had, with a lot of that moisture coming in on a tropical jet stream streaming in from the southern zones. Not necessarily subtropical during the winter, but a good round of moisture getting driven in continuously across the area. That's what we're getting into right now. This is going to move forward. This is not typical. Good news, because many of the ranchers and farmers just made their first cut. And the grass is laying down, they're baling, they're getting things out of here. Now things can grow. Usually when we start to cut and we need to dry the grass, it starts to rain. But hopefully, I think we got everything baled up. Now we're ready for that second cut coming up soon with all this good growth. Temperatures right now, we're pretty cool. We're in the upper 50s at Montrose. I'm smiling because these are great conditions, mid-60s at Grand Junction. You don't necessarily need a jacket. If you've become accustomed to the 80-degree temperatures, though, you might. But hey, we'll get by. We adapt here on the Western Slope. We've been as warm as almost 80 degrees at Delta, low 70s at Montrose, mid 70s at Grand Junction. I'm not going to remind you of the average temperatures for early June. You know it's between the 80 and the 85 degree reading for these areas. We won't be there until the end of the weekend. So we have a couple more days of these overcast conditions and several rounds of rain showers. Tomorrow, no different than today. We're going to get more of those rain showers. The difference may be we're going to start earlier with the storms. Now, we started early today compared to yesterday, and I think tomorrow morning, there's not really a starting point. I think it's going to continue during the overnight hours. So we're going to have a couple of late rounds moving through. Certainly some bubbling activity down to the Four Corners region. And then, of course, that will spread up towards our area right around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and really get things kick-started for the Friday, wrapping up this short work week. Speaking of kick-starting, we have almost 25-mile-per-hour wind speeds at Grand Junction. We've achieved some gusts. At Montrose, we had a 40-mile-per-hour blast, storm-associated, not a ton of rain, a little bit, about a nickel's worth, and I'll show you that, but almost a 40-mile-per-hour blast for Grand Junction. Now, we'll take a look at some of that rain that we've achieved so far. Really good rain totals, 1/4 of an inch around the Roaring Fork Valley and along the I-70 stretch in Garfield County, greater than 1/4 of an inch there. Not a lot, but we're getting some at Montrose. Anticipate probably nothing at Grand Junction, because we may get into this pattern where we quiet things down during the overnight hours until we get to the early morning, and then we'll see more measurable opportunities for Grand Junction. In fact, all areas could get a little rowdy starting the day tomorrow morning, and then we'll see some of those storms push through into the afternoon. If we go rowdy tomorrow morning, then our afternoon storms may not have a chance to bubble up. If we don't catch that 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock round moving through, bouncing off the mountains, maybe some thunder, possibly some lightning early this morning. If we do get that, we won't get the afternoon. If we can't get that this morning, then we will get rowdy Friday afternoon storms, and that should blend into Saturday. So a lot kind of resting on what's going to happen during the overnight hours. If these storms, and I think they will, if these storms can sustain themselves. You can see, though, we had one over Grand Junction just within the last hour. It didn't really hold up all that well. Once it crossed over the lower valley elevations around Whitewater, coming off the Uncompahgre, getting up onto the Grand Mesa, it lost some of its strength. We think we might be able to achieve a little bit more strength during the overnight hours. The Uncompahgre Valley, again, we're just looking at overcast conditions, but we get into the late night hours, we're going to see a lot more moisture developing out of the southern zones. Now, that subtropical jet that's forcing in all that moisture, that's beneficial for us. This is going to stick around for several days. Then we add the element of energy kicking through our atmosphere, and that's that low pressure system that we have advancing through the Four Corners region. Now, I want to show you what's going to happen tomorrow morning, because while that low pressure system hangs out in the central Rockies, in the central portion of our state, we're expected to get some light snow in the highest elevations from this system. So we're talking 13,000 feet during the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's June, but hey, it's Colorado. We knew when we signed up for this, we have crazy weather. Take a look at the extended forecast with me. By the end of the weekend, the start of next week, we achieved near early June temperatures for Grand Junction. We never really lose our rain chances because we're going to keep moisture in the atmosphere. That means we'll get storms just about every afternoon. On the sunny days, those storms will heat things up. The sun will heat things up, and those storms will move through, and we could get some of the more gustier aspects. But in the meantime, we deal with these overcast conditions. We're going to deal with some storm winds. We're going to deal with some light rain showers. This is going to continue along with the I want to say it, Rob. We're going to continue with these cooler temperatures near 60 and 70 and upper 70s for Grand Junction, near 70 for Montrose.